Thank you and welcome to another episode of the You Good Podcast with Rob. My name is Rob Hipowitz, and this is the You Good Podcast where we talk about mental health. Today, I am lucky enough to have another guest, and no other than Mr. Dorian Bostic, professional boxer and great friend of mine. Mr. Bostic, how are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing good. I just left the boxing gym.
Okay. Good. Health is wealth, brother. Health is wealth. So as a boxer, your health is always intact, I'm assuming. How you doing, man? How you been? How's the family? How's everybody going?
Everything good. I've been going through a lot lately. I had about 5 deaths in the family since last year. The first being my father. As you know, my father was incarcerated for 45 years. He died in prison last year. And then I had a cousin get killed. Then I had an aunt get poisoned with fentanyl due to her drug addiction. Then my grandmother died around Mother's Day. Then my uncle just died this past December. December the 22nd. Yeah.
Definitely sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So you know that's all part of my mental health.
Sure, for sure. Definitely. Here we go. All right. Thank you and welcome to another episode of the You Good Podcast with Rob. My name is Rob Hipowitz, and this is the You Good Podcast where we talk about mental health. Today, I am lucky enough to have another guest, and no other than Mr. Dorian Bostic, professional boxer and great friend of mine. Mr. Bostic, how are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing good. I just left the boxing gym.
Okay. Good. Health is wealth, brother. Health is wealth. So as a boxer, your health is always intact, I'm assuming. How you doing, man? How you been? How's the family? How's everybody going?
Everything good. I've been going through a lot lately. I had about 5 deaths in the family since last year. The first being my father. As you know, my father was incarcerated for 45 years. He died in prison last year. And then I had a cousin get killed. Then I had an aunt get poisoned with fentanyl due to her drug addiction. Then my grandmother died around Mother's Day. Then my uncle just died this past December. December the 22nd. Yeah.
Definitely sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So you know that's all part of my mental health.
Sure, for sure. Definitely. Hold on 1 second, bro. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna pause this for a second. All right, man. Sorry for that little bit of interruption there, but I had to take care of something real quick. So back to you all. Please, for my listeners, for my viewers, I already kind of mentioned your name, but just introduce yourself a little bit, who you are.
Yeah. So my name is Dorian Bostic. I'm a professional boxer working on his PhD. I'm 10-0. I just won a regional title. The ABA, excuse me, the ABA 135 title. I won that title in Colombia, the country. And that's pretty much it right now. I'm just, like I like to say, I'm struggling in peace.
I appreciate it, bro. You say you are working on your PhD. I don't know any other boxer that I ever heard of that was actually working on their PhD. So I commend you for that, man. That's a beautiful thing. So you obviously already have your master's and everything. And how long are you away from your PhD from ultimately achieving that goal?
Years wise, I'm not sure, but I know I'm 1 class away from starting dissertation.
That's dope, man. That's dope.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that journey, man, because that's a definite step in the positive direction. You will be a professor and a professional boxer at the same time. That's gonna be dope. Yeah. So you know, a lot of people don't know we met at working at the same job, doing mental health services for kids, man. So how long including when we were working together, how long have you been in the service of mental health?
Well, my whole life. I moved to Baltimore by way of South Carolina and North Carolina. And due to my mother's drug addiction and my father's incarceration, I was put in a foster system myself. So mental health and human services, it's just been my whole life because I come from an environment where that's what's all taking place. Like I've spent time in mental health hospitals, had counseling and therapists, and then I turned into it myself because I feel like I understand that population. Like I just seen a study on the internet that said about 70-80% of people that are homeless were once foster children.
Mm.
And and I tell people foster children are the forgotten children of the world.
Mm.
And we get taken advantage because the system is so rigged.
Right.
You have people who, whether they're related to you or not, they get compensated for bringing you into their household. And they really don't care about you once the money start rolling in because there's just so many hidden agendas with that, right?
Right.
And on the other hand, you have a lot of evil people masking behind the foster children system because that's where a lot of your child pedophiles and rapists are at. That's a way to get access to children.
Speak on it, brother. Speak on it.
And then another thing, which is the culture. For whatever reason, in the African American community, there's three things we don't talk about. We don't talk about sexual abuse, domestic abuse, and mental health. So I feel like because I know these things due to being raised like that and my education, I feel like I'm chosen to help these people.
That's man, you spot on with everything that you said, bro. You spot on. And I apologize because I interrupted you a little bit earlier when you were kind of giving me some background information on you. You said that your father was locked up for 45 years. And how does that play into your psyche as a young man? And do you even have a relationship with your father?
Yeah, I felt growing up, I feel like my father was the only person that loved me because in the midst of his trials and tribulations of himself, he was trying to get me out the system and he wanted me to live with him, but he just couldn't get out his own way because he was a very emotional person because of his upbringing, because he didn't have a father to teach him right from wrong. And love him and tell him I love you. And then we were separated when him and my mother broke up as early newlyweds. He went back to North and South Carolina. The woman always gets the child, so I'm up here in Baltimore. And now my mother came to Baltimore in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, where, the crack epidemic and the drug epidemic were just ravaging urban America. And she fell victim to it. When we from a small town in South Carolina, the drugs didn't even make it down there yet. I remember my father telling me that when he came back to visit, he was trying to figure out what happened to everybody and how they lose so much weight because the drugs wasn't down there yet. But so in the midst of him trying to get me out the system, I lived with him in North Carolina, went to school in Charlotte, North Carolina, junior high, middle school. I would have so much anger and rage in me as a kid, and I would just go places in isolation and just cry because I just felt like I was living in hell, and the only person that could save me was incarcerated.
Damn, that's tough, bro. That's tough. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody ever break it down like that.
I remember literally seeing him come to court all the way from North Carolina trying to get me, trying to get custody of me. And I tell people, I don't really like to harness so much energy on how a person say, I love you, I love you. I'm like, that don't mean anything. People say what they want. I say, but love is an action verb. So he displayed to me that he loved me because he was trying to get me out of the system. He wanted me to live with him.
Right.
And, you know, a lot of women take pride. I was a single parent. I raised this young man to this, that. And that could be true. But those stories are far in between. It takes a man to teach a young boy how to become a man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're absolutely correct, man. That is one of the biggest things, biggest I will say some myth in our community. I'm not knocking, any single mothers or anything of that nature, but it is very important in all aspects of the world, regardless of culture, creed, religion, race, whatever you want to say. It's important for a young man and young ladies to have a solid dude, a solid man in their life. You know what I mean? Because as mothers are uh, a young a young man's first love. I'm sure that you've heard that before. Your mother is your first love. Um, Generally, with young men, and a father is generally a young lady's first love, and then they're also the first person that you visualize as a young man, and that you feel like, all right, well, I can kind of walk in the steps of my father. So he kind of gives you that, that's the person that gives you that blueprint. Like you said,
Right.
you at being a young person, you knew by his actions of just traveling and showing you the love, not just saying it, but showing you like, son, I want you, son, I love you, son, I'm trying to get you. Like you could download that information, you could feel that energy from your father. So fathers are super important, men are super important, and that, as you mentioned, it plays into your psyche. How were you able to kind of get through all of that, like knowing that you were still in the system, but knowing that you had that one person? Like I always think of fathers as like Superman or Iron Man, or that superhero in a young man's life or a young woman's life. Knowing that your superhero was trying to save you, but was having to kind of go through so many steps and jump through so many hoops in order to try to get you back to where you felt like, well, this is where I belong. So I don't understand, why it's such a lengthy process.
Honestly, once he got that time, because we talked, we had very intimate conversations. And when I was in the 6th or 7th grade, I started calling myself the chosen one. From Jeff Jarrett, the wrestler,
Yeah.
and The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah. So, but I pour inspiration and motivation from anything I see or do.
Okay.
So my father was really hard on me when he was around me. I'm thinking, hey, let's make up for lost time, kumbaya. And he would just be like, I'm like, yo, you ain't seen me like 5 years. Why you being so disciplinarian? But he was preparing, and the reason why I'm saying this because I started calling myself the chosen one. He told me he was. He told me I was the chosen one. He told me how he had this dream that I was chosen for greatness and he wasn't going to be there for me. He said, I'm going to be on the path to righteousness, and on this path, there's going to be fire and there's going to be hands trying to pull me down. I got to make it to the other end of the bridge. And he said, I'm not going to be there. And that's why I said the prophecy is being fulfilled. And the reason why I say that is because my father taught me to read all the different holy books when I was a kid by way of the Nation of Islam. So when my friends are watching Dragon Ball Z and the Power Rangers and jumping and hanging all around, I was able to do that too, but when he come around, I wasn't. I'm reading about Patrice Lumumba and Stokely Carmichael and Medgar Evers and W.B. Du Bois and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm. I'm reading about these people. And then I got to correlate it to the Bible and the Holy Quran. And what I recognized, what they all had in common was they went through a lot to become the people that they were, where we look at them and praise them. I didn't understand it until he died, though. So I only understood this last year because he's gone. And I thought it would end different. I didn't think it would end like this. So now I know that I'm the chosen one and I have a higher purpose because I lost my best friend. I lost my number one fan and he died in prison. And I have this guilt because I felt like I couldn't get him out. And I just felt like everything I was doing was to try to get him out of prison. But I got to keep reminding myself that this is the prophecy being fulfilled as me being the chosen one, because I'm the only man like this from both of my roots, who grew up a star athlete while being homeless and poor. Like I won prom king, I won homecoming king. I was very popular, very poor. I'm a professional athlete. I got all these degrees. Society has never seen anything like this. There's not even no black boxers with a PhD.
For sure. I know that for certain. You are, I mean, in that regard, you definitely to be celebrated, man. That's why I'm glad that I can, and I know that you were on the news before in reference to that, the local news, correct?
Yes.
What was that again? What news outlet was that again?
Channel 2 was ABC. Channel 11 NBC and Channel 13, which is WJZ.
Okay, all local Baltimore stations.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely in the course of this, as we go through, I want to make sure that you get your just due. So anybody that's listening to this or watches this podcast, log on, go on YouTube. You can see Dorian, the educated boxer. I think if you just plug that in to YouTube, all that stuff will pull up, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, man, I want to make sure you get your just due, bro.
Yeah. I'm very humble, man. I don't get on the internet and be checking out myself. That's the other part. I had to check people sometimes, and I tell them, just because I don't brag don't mean I can't.
True. That's a good statement, man. I like that. I like that. That's a good saying.
I look real good on paper right now.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
You got an undefeated professional record and about to have a PhD. Like I don't know too many. There's not too many dudes out there that could say that. There's not too many people in the world that could just generally say that at all, period. You know what I mean? I don't care who you are. I know none of the Klitschko's ain't got no PhDs.
The Klitschko's got PhDs.
For real?
They the only two.
I just happen to throw those out there. I just happen to throw those names out there.
The Klitschko's are the only two boxers with PhDs.
All right, well, I apologize, man. I don't want them dudes come looking for me because they big.
but they didn't grow up in the climate that we come from. They come from a two-parent household and they had resources.
For sure. Okay. All right. Well, pardon me on that misinformation. The Klitschko's, I commend y'all too. I don't remember their names, but the two Klitschko brothers who were both.
It's Vladimir and Vitaly.
Dang, there we go. Well, much respect to Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko for having y'all PhDs. I misspoke and I apologize for that. I was, trying to be funny, and then come to find out that's not even a true statement. So,
but there's no one that looks like me and you, and that's
dig it. Okay, I dig it. Yeah,
and you gotta remember, I'm a poor kid from the hood.
Yeah,
from the hood, and I started my boxing career off of GoFundMe.
Dang, that's tough. Oh yeah, okay. I remember that conversation that you and me had. That was yeah, I definitely remember that. I definitely remember that.
And what it also brought hindsight to was because I have a lot of peers who and people around me, they was like, now it kind of makes sense because we was like trying to figure out like, why did you live with your best friend in high school? Like, I call his family my foster family because I was an assistant and my social work allowed me to live with him.
Right.
Against his election. He basically put his job in jeopardy. I was supposed to go back to a group home.
Right.
But I told him, like, you can't just take which little bit of structure I have and put me in a group home. Yeah. Like, if I'm in, because I'm getting up, I'm going to school on my own. I get up every morning, go to school. And I have to figure out how to feed myself. With no one around me that can say they went to school, graduated, and went to college. This is all. I'm not to take away from any type of religious beliefs or higher power, but this is all me.
Yeah, yeah.
And yearning for better and talking to people. And I can't say I did this all on my own. People do pour into me. I got people from all walks of life and all races that help me.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, definitely. Yeah, definitely. But you knew that you wanted better for yourself and that you weren't going to let your circumstances be the reason that you didn't make it. So regardless of all of that, you had, and that's what I talk about in this particular podcast, man. This is important because it takes a very strong person here, though. Like, so here is where you're strong at. I mean, obviously, you physically because you box and everything like that. But this is what had to be sharp. It had to be tight, and it had to be. And I mentioned, before in one of my other podcast episodes, is that this got to be wrapped up and it's got to be tight, and you can't let nothing in there, nobody in there that's not supposed to be in there. Because once you do, then that's when all the madness starts to happen. You see what I'm saying? That's when everything starts to kind of go crazy.
Yeah, and that happened to me a lot. Before boxing. Because I wanted to be the best. I wanted to make it to the NFL. My dream was to make it to the NFL and then open up a homeless shelter. But I always had so many distractions and pulling because I had no guidance.
Right.
And it takes a lot to come and fix a person. And what happens is a lot of people don't know how to meet people where they at.
Right.
And when you see where they at, you gotta decide how much am I willing to give or not give, because this really ain't my problem. And a lot of people turn the other cheek because it's like, I helped them. You could do the best what I gave them.
Right.
Not knowing I might need a little bit more.
True. Facts.
Life.
Yeah.
So the mental is guiding strong. It definitely was a strong foundation that my father laid there, but by no means I went through a lot. I go through a lot now, and because people don't understand how selfish you got to be to get to where you want. Like, we applaud famous people, but when there's somebody around you, it's like you don't understand and want to help them. When I'm only doing what the people you look up to doing.
Yeah. It is a struggle to be because in all intents and purposes, you being a pro boxer, you're kind of like an entrepreneur. So people that kind of do sports, because I mean, you did a lot of your own promotion. You do, you pay for your own travel and all that stuff. So you are your own product. You know what I mean? So you are an entrepreneur in all intents and purposes. But it's a different type of mentality that you have to have when you are going into business or in the process of going into business, for yourself, because you're not thinking as a worker, you're thinking as an owner. So you look at everything from the top down as opposed to from the bottom up. So it's a different mind state that you have as an entrepreneur, as a professional, just working, and it's a grind. You know what I mean? Like you say, nobody is going to care until you make it. You know what I mean? Like when I say nobody, I mean people that kind of just look and then just be like you say, they turn the other cheek and be like, oh, all right, well, they're just doing whatever they're doing. But then when you get to that plateau, when you've made it, then everybody's like, oh yeah, you know, that's my friend, that's my man, that's my whatever. You know what I mean? So then people try to latch on to you through your fame or through your fortune or through your fame and fortune, whatever it happens to be. But they don't understand everything that it took to get there. So I understand fully what you're saying, bro.
Yeah. I think
And fully.
with all this death in my family that just occurred,
Yes.
that's what makes that hurt, because I haven't had time to even grieve over my father's death.
Yeah.
With all this other death coming in. You know what I mean?
My condolences to all of your family that have passed on. That's tough, man. These last couple of years have been really tough on a lot of people. So
Yeah.
I definitely send my condolences to you, bro.
My father and me and my uncle and my father, we communicate a lot. My uncle Daryl just passed. But my grandmother, who was, she was up in age, but her death hurts because I know she'd been through so much.
Right.
My grandma was born in the 1920s. And being from a town in a state that has such a racist history as the state of South Carolina,
right,
it's hearing how hard she worked, and then riding to my town and seeing cotton fields and things of that nature, and know like my grandmother probably picked that at one point in time.
Right.
That's a different type of scar, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I remember one time she told me this, and this what made me get a little emotional when I went to her viewing. She said, because I have several cousins who, like me, they didn't grow up with their fathers from my father's side of the family. And she said, y'all are the ones I pray for the most, because y'all don't have your fathers in your life. And then you sit and think, when you're going through all these obstacles in life, like, why me? But then I think, well, how did I get here? And I have to think, well, somebody had to be praying for me, and they had to be praying hard. Because, like I said, I give credit to myself, but I'm like, Lord, I've been through enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, that's you got a heavy story, bro. But it's like I said, it's to be commended, because you've come from a lot of adversity to becoming, like I say, I always call you champ when we talk, because I always try to speak good fortune to people, especially people that I consider to be family. So I always say, hey, champ.
You put me pro gloves so I could fight in. You came and watched me spar one day.
Yeah,
you came and watched my fights, my amateur fights before.
Yeah. We were in that was in Glen Burnie. Yeah.
Glen Burnie. Yeah. So no, I definitely truly appreciate the support. Like I said, but look, that's ground. That's rooted in the foundation. Like when you said people make it, well, I know you ain't just come out, pop out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, like once we really got to talking, I ain't gonna lie. When I first met you, I was like, yo, homie kind of nuts. So, because he was like, I was like, because he was like doing wild stuff with the kids in the vans at the job. I was like, nah, cuz he's not gonna last too long over here. And me and you was just talking about that the other day. Like, I was like, oh, nah, he's not gonna. I said, nah, I'm not messing with cuz he's nuts though. But once we sat down and really had like a sure enough conversation, I was like, oh wow, he really a good cat. Like, he really a cool dude for real. So.
Yeah. Like I probably cared too much. That's what I was letting on. You know what I'm saying? Rock up with the music.
Yeah, y'all came through like y'all was about to do a drive-by on somebody, man. I was like,
Like I'm a New Jersey Dry,
yeah,
right?
word, yeah. Burning, spinning wheels and burning rubber and all that on the can. I was like, yeah, he's bugging. But that's that's funny, man. Sometimes you gotta laugh and stuff at things that we've been through. And
See what happens is, right? You know how people be like, I'm a laid back this, and I'm a this type of person.
yeah,
I'm all of that. You can't put me in a box. You see what
right.
I'm saying? You see how articulate I am. You see that I'm athletic, but then you see like, man, you were wild. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
like I'm you know what I am? I'm a human being, bro.
yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah, we all have like all these hats that we wear,
And
and
but the mental health, for some reason, it make it seem like you got to be one way. You don't. We human beings, man. And whatever you go through, whatever you're subjective to, that's more than likely your outcome. I just had this conversation with my aunt, and I was telling her that like now, you see how we talked about what we don't talk about in our community with the sexual abuse, domestic violence, and
right,
mental health. And
right.
inside of those three things, you know what else we don't pay attention to?
What's that?
The conscious and the subconscious.
True.
How you'll grow up in that environment and it doesn't look like it has a physical effect on you, but you're taking it in. That's the subconscious.
Yeah. I just talked about that in one of the other episodes about downloading information.
And then now you get up, you grow older, you wonder why your daughter won't leave a man that's putting his hands on her.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why your son is doing it.
Right.
Because that's the environment they was in.
Right. Subconsciously, they downloaded that information.
Exactly.
I mean, that's very true because in those environments, like I said, when you subject children, because that's trauma. When you subject children to trauma, you know what I mean, they might not have been had anything done to them physically or anything like that, so they might have not been the ones to where the physical action or the yelling, it might have just been the parents, it might have just been whoever they live with, but that is trauma to them because it's dysfunction. So when you grow up in a dysfunctional household, and that's a constant thing where it's constant yelling and screaming and bickering, and like you say, if there's sexual assault, sexual abuse, physical abuse, if there is those things that are happening and children are around that, you have no option but to download that information. As we always mention, like, we are products of our environment.
Right. And that's not just what you do, it's what you see, it's what you eat, it's what you watch. Sure. It's everything. Like in that field with sexual abuse, they don't talk about how most people who are sexual abusers have been sexually abused. Both male and female.
Right. Very true. Very true.
And things are not being talked about. And if that's one issue I have with my people and my culture, is like, wow, who are we saving? We got to stop passing what I call passing. It's called generational hurt. Why are we passing hurt? You're supposed to want the next generation to be better than you. You're supposed to want your children to be better than you. But our people we have so many issues. I mean, you see mothers jealous of daughters. I've never seen nothing like this before. Like, how are you jealous of your own daughter?
Man, that's tough. That's a whole nother topic we could speak on, because I've definitely seen that before, and that's tough though, bro. That's tough. You're supposed to love and adore your kids and want the best for them and commend them and be happy, But like you said, that comes from a lot of pain and hurt. And that comes from a whole nother place in your mind.
It comes from the generation before her. That's where it comes from.
So a whole what?
The generation before her. What mommy grew up saying from grandma, and what did grandma grow up saying from great grandma.
Wow.
And it's not being talked about.
Right. So
like what we talking about off camera. I wrote a book. Some of my family members mad at me because of things that I put in a book. But like I said, you ain't never denied. You said you upset with what I put in the book, but you never denied. But this the thing. What do I owe you?
Nothing.
I don't owe you nothing, right?
Yeah.
Once I aged out, once I turned 21 or 18 or whatever how old it was when they stopped giving that check to my payee, without making that person look bad, that person gave me $20 and told me don't ever ask them for nothing again.
Damn, that's tough.
Why in the African American community we tell you when you turn 18, you on your own? Where am I gonna go? If living on your own was that easy at 18, I think everybody be doing it.
Yeah, without a doubt. True.
Like, I'm still a kid. How I'm not even, when you're 21 and 22, you still think like you're 18.
Yeah, this is true.
And so now I don't get no check. Nobody's getting a check for me no more, no nothing. Part of the reason why I went to college because I had no place to stay. Like, just give me some room and board.
I mean, at least you were smart enough to go to college and not the other route. So
Yeah.
a lot of dudes sought room and board in other places. You know what I mean? Like I know a couple cats was like, yo, I know I'm gonna get 3 hots in the cot. So I'm gonna go ahead and do something crazy.
Yeah, I know. I know them too.
Yeah.
And one of my issues with my family is if you want to take credit for all the good that came from me, you gotta take credit for the bad too.
Yeah, yeah, true. What's the name of your book?
The Reasons Why I Fight.
The Reasons Why I Fight. The Reasons Why I Fight by Dorian Bostic. All right, and where can people pick that up at?
Amazon.
Okay.
Where we get everything else at? Amazon.
Yeah. How about that?
You probably a person off of Amazon. You probably can look up how much Dorian is.
So, I'm not gonna say no to that. I'm sure if you click the right buttons and put the right thing in there, you mess around and have somebody ship to you in a box, an Amazon box, won't even know it. Somebody, they get in the refrigerator. Nah, it'd be a whole person in that joker. I mean, not to. I don't want nobody to take this out of context. I'm not, trying to make fun of human trafficking or anything like that, because that's a serious issue. And unfortunately, it's a serious issue in Baltimore. We just try to make light of the fact that Amazon, you can pretty much get anything from Amazon. So I don't want anybody to, misconstrue what we're saying. We're just making light of Amazon, not trying to downplay human trafficking. So I want to make sure that we say that.
With a good friend of mine, and I call him my big brother, he's a pastor, his name George Hopkins. He told me that people don't like talking to me because I ask them the questions, and because I'm so smart and I do a lot of research, I make them look in the mirror.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
But people don't want to look in the mirror.
And you gotta look in the mirror, man. You cannot look in the mirror and see your faults and see your mishaps and all that stuff, man. If not, then you're never gonna make yourself a better person, because if you constantly avoiding the mirror, then you never improving. You just staying the same person.
But that's what especially in today's time with this fake perfect internet world we live in, where everybody just perfect. They posting quotes and they post, look what's going to say. They be posting stuff where they don't even do what the person is saying. They do the complete opposite because they just that selfish. I'm like, why are you posting that when you're not even that type of person? And also, we live in this religious-driven society where I ask people, because I've read the Bible 3 times, right? I told you my father made me read these books, right?
Right.
I ask people, what book are you reading, right? Because people are like, I'm good, and I'm this and I'm that. But your Christian Bible says that no one is good except for children.
Right.
Children are the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. But yet, you have all these people hurting and abusing and neglecting children.
Yeah.
Myself included. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for my mother to go the route she went, or my father to go the route she went. I mean, I even asked one of my father's siblings, my aunt, do you think my father was a good father? She said, I can't answer that. She said, why are you saying that? Because he was absent? In order to be a good parent, you have to be there. So we know that's part one. Part one.
Yeah.
No, you know it wasn't. And that's the part that hurts as well, because in spite of me having this good relationship with him, he failed me.
Right.
My mother failed me too. You know, in ghetto America, like we said, most children grow up in a single parent household by way of a Black woman. I had neither.
Yeah.
But in order for the prophecies to be fulfilled, I couldn't grow up around my family. You know why? Because everything starts at home. So if everything good starts at home, everything bad starts at home. So if I would have stayed around my family, I would have learned nothing but bad stuff. It's because I lived around different families and was around different races and different people, I was able to see the poor, remember the inspiration and motivation, I get it from anywhere. Right. I was able to see good stuff that I wanted and was like, okay, I need to apply this to myself.
For sure. For sure. For sure. Definitely. Definitely. So let me ask you this. How as a pro athlete, and I know you kind of touched on it a bit, but how does that play into your mental health, and how does that play into your psyche, being a pro athlete, and how do you deal with it, and do you use your athletic ability to deal with your mental health, or do you separate them completely from each other?
No, I combine it, because everything starts in the mind first, then it goes to your heart, then you act it out.
Okay.
And because I grew up so hard and people try to tear you down, like, you know, in our community, they tell you too light skinned.
Yeah, for sure.
And they tell you you're too dark skinned.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm a dark skinned man with no mother, no father. Sometimes I don't have the best shoes. Sometimes I don't have the best clothes. Those are issues, right?
Right.
Well, for some reason, even though they're not, they are, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm athletic. So I can be poor, but it's like that I'm still gonna dominate you on this court today, or I'm gonna dominate you on this football field.
Yeah.
And I grew up fighting a lot for those reasons, or I'm gonna just beat you up. Sports is not hard as what I went through growing up. So honestly, all I need is just, because a lot of people don't like being alone. An individual sport like boxing or something else, where I'm the underdog, it fits right into my personality, because you have to train and live like religion tell you to. Abstain from sex, abstain from smoking, abstain from drinking, treat people nice, you know, live this life on the straight and narrow, eat a certain way, drink a certain way. Because I grew up like that, I know that you could be funny. You know, you always got the guys who are the comedian, you got the ladies, man, you got the fresh guys, you got the drug dealers, you got the this. But excuse my French, none of that will stop me from whooping your ass.
Spoken like a true professional boxer. Spoken like a true boxer, man. I'm not mad at you at all, bro. You know what I've learned just over the years, you have to have that confidence. That confidence is because if you don't have confidence in who you are and your abilities, then that's about 90% of the whole situation. That's like 90% of what you are and who you are, just even as a person. You see what I'm saying?
That's in or out the ring.
Yeah, like, without a doubt. Yeah,
I'm willing,
in life.
Yeah, I'm willing to kill and die for what I believe in. So that's why I don't bother nobody. And that's why I just go, I live the life that I live, because like I said, people love attention. They want to be, but I'm okay being alone, and I'm okay with being dark skinned, and I'm okay with being like, and I don't have no self-esteem. When I was a kid, my father would tell me I was beautiful. And I'd be looking at him like, man, what's wrong with you? Like, I only know this word because of a movie. right before the dude lady. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
why are you calling me beautiful? But he was building me, he was giving me high self-esteem.
For sure.
So when I grew up, I didn't have to worry about it.
For sure.
Like, you know, when you go through the age where all the girls want the light-skinned boys, I never say nothing anyway. I ain't want no girl anyway. Like, I go to a house to try watching Pokemon and Power Rangers and Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, it's yeah, definitely. I mean, I've definitely heard, you know, growing up in the neighborhood, you hear all those things, you know what I mean? And we always, I don't, you know, I don't know how that works in other races. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how their depiction of someone else that is of the same race,
Yeah.
how, you know what I'm saying? Like, what does that look like? Like, do Caucasians, you know, I mean, I know they go kind of off hair color, I'm gonna say, like that's a brunette or that's a blonde or that's a redhead, or you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, does that make you, you know,
lesser?
for us it was almost like classism. You know what I'm saying? Like the color of our skin was like classism. So it was like the darker you were, the worse of a person, the worse off you were, and the lighter you were, like, oh, you got, you know, you got better as you got lighter, which is a terrible thing because, you know, obviously that comes from slavery mentality. You know what I'm saying? Where it was at like the field, you know, the field slaves and then the house slaves. You see what I'm saying? And we, and unfortunately, as a people, we kind of still carry that mentality. And I've heard about that even in other other countries and all that stuff too. So.
Family, I would have people in my family tell me, like, say I'm asleep for school. They don't say, Dorian, wake up. They say, tell Dorian to get his black ass up.
Right.
Like, why? Like why everything got to be a skin characterization of how you're describing me? Or look at your hair, you got nappy hair. Yeah. And I'm like, what, like, man, you look African. Like, Lord, like, what? Let me ask you this. What did I do to you? Because remember, mind you, I'm a kid. People in my family were telling me, you're going to be a junkie just like your mother when you grow up. You're going to be a jailbird just like your father. And I'm like, you do know I'm a kid, right? Like, you do know I still have a chance and a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true, bro. It definitely, like I say, in our community, man, we are so, we even in comedy, or even in trying to be funny, or trying to be, or even in trying to give somebody love, we still tear each other down because we'll see somebody like, look at this dude, what you all dressed up for? And you know, if we see somebody that's dressed up, it's only two places that we say that you going. If you dressed up, where you going, man?
Court
or church.
Think you got locked up. Think you got locked up. Think you got locked up.
That's like, you know what I'm saying? Like round the way info, you know what I'm saying? Like round the way code. It doesn't matter where you at, man. You know what I'm saying? The smallest town, it doesn't matter. Be Little Rock, Arkansas, Baltimore, Maryland, Philly, South Jersey, whatever. If you dressed up and you from around the way, you going to one or two places, bro. It might be a third, court or church. And if it's during the week, somebody might be like, what, you got an interview today or something like that? So, that's it. You know what I mean? Which is not a bad thing. If you know, if you got an interview, you're supposed to dress up or whatever. But I think every cat know that. Like any cat USA know, like, yo, homie dressed up. He probably gotta go to the church.
My thing, like, why do? And my thing is back to the Bible. How are children the greatest? But we're talking about children like right now, right? You look all across ghetto America, children committing this, children doing this. Where did they get it from?
Yeah, for sure.
Someone taught them this. Somebody is not giving them love and attention and affection that they need. You don't just wake up one day and say, I'm about to go join the gang. I think they hired me.
Yeah, that's a true statement. That's a true
statement. One, not that, whether it's a gang, whether it's school, whether it's a job, nobody like taking orders. It's human nature. You don't even want your mother and father telling you what to do.
Yeah, word. Yeah.
To rebel, I don't want to do it just because. So who want to put themselves in a situation where they got to go take orders to commit a crime? That's not human nature. That means that something is lacking. And what happened is, one of my favorite words, accountability.
Yeah.
And my second word to go with accountability is I apologize. For some reason, it is very hard for people to take accountability than say I apologize.
Yeah. I've definitely noticed that, and I think that part of that comes as just being, for me, just being, I think as being a man, I think that's important, because a lot of times, as I mentioned before, most of our emotions get tied in with anger, or funnel right to anger. So a lot of times that apology is like the last thing on our mind, and it might just be, it might just be, and you and me have a disagreement about whoever we think the greatest boxer is, or whatever, and
right.
Whatever it is, and some things in that heated argument or exchange can get said that really shouldn't have been said, and just being stubborn men, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to just being like, bro, I apologize, man, I said some stuff that really shouldn't have been said, or you a friend of mine, I shouldn't even have got to that point. We'll stop talking and be like, man, I ain't messing with who, I don't like him no more because of whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Because he thinks such and such better than such and such.
Yeah, man. Like how many we probably could count, 10, 15, 20 people that we know that's in that predicament right now. Like, y'all not friends because of what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I just told this to somebody. I just had to tell this to one of the youths that I work with, because he was talking about the NBA young boy versus Lord Dirk and them beef. I said, listen, do not get caught in that. You don't know neither party. That has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, for sure.
It don't have nothing to do with you. I don't want you to tell. But I know what it's like to be that angry young man.
For sure.
And man, I'm on Tupac's side. West Coast bitch, I'm on Tupac. Or Gucci Mane versus Jeezy. I'm on Gucci's side.
Yeah.
I don't know none of these people. This shit ain't got nothing to do with me. These are rich people problems.
Yeah, but a lot of times us, people, everybody wants to belong to something.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That's because over here in America, we don't have our identity. Yeah. So we suffer from what is called lost tribe syndrome.
Yeah.
Because if you talk to a white person and they know their family history, they could tell you what part of Europe they come from. If you talk to an African, they could tell you, I'm from West Africa, I'm from Nigeria, I'm either Igbo, Yoruba, or something, and they tell you where. Now you talk to us, we clicked up, but all we could tell you is somebody was in the slave system, but that's it. We don't know what native tongue we used to speak. We don't know what tribe we used to be a part of. We don't know what our old religion was. So now, as you look around urban America, all you see is little cliques of tribes, but no names, because we don't know our tribes no more. So now we're making tribes. Now they call them Bloods, Crips, disciples, Black disciples, this, that. When really they just a tribe of people who are creating cultural beliefs. We were done if we knew our past, because in order to know where you're going, you got to know where you come from.
True.
But we don't know it. Now, you got to include no mother, no father, or they're drug addicts. I mean, in today's time, you got 35-year-old grandmother and grandfathers.
Yeah, without a doubt. 35.
Making twerk videos and TikToks. So
no, yeah, facts. Straight facts, bro. Straight facts.
Got the little 13 to 12-year-old, 15-year-old, oh, take a picture for me like this. Record me like this.
Uh-oh, we lost him.
All right, my bad.
Oh, all right, man, you good.
Yeah, important phone call. Now, what do you think they're going to go do? They're going to gang bang. They're going to do the same thing. It should be so many children are being caught doing sexual acts in school. That's something they learning from home.
Something that they've been exposed to.
Right. By the internet now, because you know you could go look up all type of stuff on this internet.
Yeah, no, it's the gift and the curse, man.
I had a little boxer from the gym. I don't say his name. Asked me how do you have sex? So I asked him like, did you ask your mother and father? Like I should have this conversation with you.
Sure.
He said I asked my mother. She told me Google it. I'm like, no, man, that's porn. That's not real.
Yeah.
But that's what you got people thinking. So you got these kids learning how to have sex from porn.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So we know the problems.
We just distorted information at that point. That's super distorted information, cuz.
Yeah. We know all the problems, but as me, and it's hard for me to accept this, being a role model, because I never wanted to be a role model. Never want to be. I don't want to be on the. I never wanted to be on the unwanted pedestal. I consider myself a real model. Like if I cry and I'm hurt, I'm gonna share some tears. If you disrespect me in the way that I see fit, I'm gonna be making the news like Mike Tyson for some outside the ring. Like I'm not perfect, and I don't want to be perfect.
Yeah, dig it.
That's what I struggle with right now as far as my mental health. Like, how does society look at me? Because I don't want to be a role model. Like I can't tell children not to do something or people if I'm not giving them nothing. So that's why you see me feeding the homeless and doing these different acts. Like at least I can give them something, because if I'm not giving them nothing, who am I to tell them to stop doing? Because everything is survival.
Yeah,
that's the first law of nature, self-preservation.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that I've done for quite a long time, and I don't because I don't do it for like clout or nothing like that. But I kind of, and we've all gone to church or mosque or whatever it is that you do as far as your religion. But and everybody pays tithes and things of that nature and give to the church and all that. But I just felt like my money is better served if I actually truly, because this way I know it's going into the hands of someone that absolutely and truly needs it. You know what I mean? So I'll go and do things for homeless or children or whatever, and that'll be, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I have that enough relationship with God, I'll say, that He understands that's me paying my tithes or me giving my offering because I'm giving it to somebody who who I know is less, who has less than what I do and is in need, not less than me, but just has less and is in need. And sometimes I'll just stop and have a conversation with a homeless young man or a homeless young lady or a gentleman or whatever, and tell them like, look, I see you. And sometimes that means the world to them because they feel like they're invisible. You know what I mean? Because when you're in those predicaments and a million cars are riding by and things of that nature, I can only imagine how that feels. I can only how imagine how it feels to feel unwanted, unloved, uncared for, all of that. So, I let them know like, look, I see you, and you still matter. And this particular predicament is not, who you are as a person. It's just a situation that you're going through. I've had a couple of different conversations with some homeless young gentlemen and young ladies, and like you said,
you'll be surprised at the conversation. And when I was young and I was out there in the street selling drugs and things of that nature, I would sit and talk to the drug addicts and give them free drugs or give them some money. And the stories. A matter of fact, even along with doing that, when my mother would go to her, AA meetings for alcoholism, she would take me and and one of my siblings, and those stories, they still stick with me to this day. And everything is 1 degree of separation. The same thing with the homeless, the same thing with the drug addict. Everything is the foundation is trauma.
Yeah.
Or neglect, or like you said, wanting to be a part of something. That lost tribe syndrome we was talking about.
Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome, having empathy and sympathy for your abuser.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what's not taking place? Healing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's no counseling. It's no therapy. It's no, that once again, that's the reason why I want to have these conversations. That's the reason why I want to have this podcast, man. I hope that this grows to a million people in the community are able to just get in. I hope people see this conversation and be like, man, like Dorian real. You know what I mean? Like he been through, but still persevered, still made it. Still, like, look at this brother that's been through all of these things. Everything that you've been through has and will in the future, unfortunately, knock people completely out their comfort zone and out their box. It'll make people have to attend those AA meetings. It'll make people have to attend NA meetings. You know what I'm saying? And those things that you've gone through, that trauma, abuse, neglect, not feeling loved, uncared for, like you say, at point in times, you felt like you might have been homeless or just in the street or doing whatever. Like those things are what knock people out.
Not felt, I was.
Well,
not
yeah.
felt, I was.
Well, those things, and look at you now, man. Look at you now. You have your own children. You see what I'm saying? You have your own family. You have your own home. You have your own life. You have your own, like I said, you are undefeated boxer on the way to get a PhD, bro. It's not a lot of people that can say they come from where you have come from and have made it to where you're at. So, that's not a light task. And I don't know when the last time somebody told you this, but I'm proud of you, bro.
Man, thank you. I truly appreciate it.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
People tell me, I just had to heal from it not coming from where you want it to come from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, I was pretty popular, man. East Baltimore, down the hill. That's why I got tattooed on my body. I represent. And all my life, people from, like I said, they important to me. But outside of my father, it never came from who I wanted to come. Your home.
Yeah, yeah. You might actually know. I just interviewed Damon Jones. You probably know you probably know a couple of people I don't know. Like I said, Damon Jones, he from over east too. So I'm sure you guys have probably crossed paths, or your family members have crossed paths. Because he's from the east side of Baltimore as well. And I'm sure, one of my best friends is from over there as well. Baltimore's such a small town. If you know 6 people.
Oh, and it's very territorial. I just had this conversation with somebody, because you know how, like, if you go to New York and you go to a different borough, you could tell, like, why this borough is different versus the other borough.
Yeah, for sure.
Or, like, in my area, when I go back home down south, you could tell the difference by the counties. Like, this county has this and this county has that. But I'm like, you do know if I ride the whole Baltimore City, no disrespect, it all look vacant.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little difference between east and west. If
I drive from East North Avenue to West North Avenue, what's different?
Oh no, ain't no different. Definitely ain't no different. I'll give you that. North Avenue definitely. North Avenue the same all the way. Yeah. I remember when I first moved here, I was gonna move on North Avenue, and the dudes from Baltimore was like, "Nah, brother, we not gonna let you go out like that." They was like, "Nah, keep looking. We not gonna let you go out like that." I was a cat. I was like, "Yo, whatever. I'm gonna move. Moving into the city, whatever." They was like, "Nah, we not gonna let you go out like that." He said, "Nah, you can't move on North Avenue, bro." So and I'm not knocking nobody live on North Avenue. I'm just saying, I don't, I'm not, because we all Baltimore, we all. I'm now. I've been in Baltimore longer than I've been in Jersey, so I'm like a Baltimore dude now. So
I've been in Baltimore.
I don't want nobody thinking I'm knocking you from North Avenue, but
I'm at a point where I don't know if I leave. I'm think I'm Baltimore out.
Yeah.
I use dummy as a term of endearment.
Now I'm not gonna say I'm not that Baltimore, because I'll still get mad if somebody call me a dummy. Like, hey, what's up, dummy? I'm not cool with that.
I'm like, no, what's up, dummy?
Yeah, that's definitely a Baltimore thing. I'll never understand that. Yeah. That's where I'll just shoot back up to Jersey with that situation.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm Baltimore out, man.
Yeah, I dig it. I mean, like I said, I've been here longer than I was in New Jersey, and I got family and everything down here and all that now. My son
One
down
thing
here and all
I
that.
do about Baltimore though, if all else fails, we're gonna go out fighting.
Without a doubt.
That's the one I love about this city, man, because it's a lot of things that you may get away with in other cities. Like I told my peoples, I said, no disrespect to anything. Because everybody down South Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
And they believe in praying maybe a little more than they should with certain situations.
Yeah, I dig it.
I said, but if Dylan Ruth would have came and banged up a church in Baltimore, he'd have got shot back by the time he made it outside. Trying to get away.
Oh man.
They would have hit. Am I lying though?
Yeah, I don't know if homie would have made it in the church with the joint on. Somebody might have clipped Cuz right on 33rd or Urban and one of them blocks. They might have got clipped right on that joint before he even made it up in there. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the warrior spirit. That's the warrior spirit that goes with us having lost tribe syndrome, because a lot of people don't understand that we had warriors over here in Africa, just like we had warriors over here that was fighting against slavery and colonization and things of that nature. That's who that's who people got first. You gotta get the warrior class out first.
For sure.
Mission. I'm Geechee. I'm from down south. I got Geechee. The Geechee Gullah people built my town. So it's in me to be a warrior. It's in me to be scared of nothing. And then my father just reassured that I had high self-esteem. And then you hear people saying, I pray to the ancestors. These are the reasons why. Because their blood is still flowing through me. I could easily, be passive aggressive.
Right. Yeah. I've been called that before. I mean, like I said, if we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna talk about it. So I've definitely been called that before. Passive aggressive.
Mm-hmm. That means you held some things in and let it slide, and then it came out later.
I mean, I play chess, so you can't let everybody know every move you're gonna make, and you always got to be conscious of what your opponent's intentions are. Because sometimes they try to, act like they're going one way, but they're really going another. So, I've definitely been accused of being a little passive aggressive, which is, in itself I think most people, to be honest, from where I'm from, are like that. You know what I mean? We wear this cloak of coolness until we not cool no more. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, I think people misunderstand in the way that what you're saying, because you, at the end of the day, you teach people how to treat you.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So, is it I'm passive aggressive, or you just was cool until you did something wrong?
I mean, I just, I'm big on respect, and I'm big on
challenge.
You know what I mean? So, I don't never want to feel like I'm being disrespected, which is most people. But that goes, that comes from.
People don't want no smoke, bro.
Huh?
A lot of people don't want no smoke, and they let people disrespect them in all types of ways. Now I'm the type of nigga. I'm the type of person because you like you touched something right there. You struck a.
It's cool, bro. I gotta edit this joint anyway.
yeah, definitely edit that. Because
or maybe not. Maybe not.
Sometimes a person get over on you or do something.
Yeah.
And I might be slow. I might be slow enough where it might work, but if I figure it out, I'll still come back later. like, no, I ain't like that slide.
I've been there before. You know what it is? You know what it is? Like, I think in general, as a warrior, like you don't go looking. You see what I'm saying? You don't go looking. So a lot of times stuff might happen and you'll downplay, not you, just a person will downplay it. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably guilty of it myself. So we don't go looking, you know what I'm saying? But so we have the will, but we don't necessarily always have the want to battle or to be in confrontation and to fight, you know what I'm saying? But we have the will. So we willing to go all the way if need be, but we don't necessarily want to because we can use diplomacy if necessary, or try to use diplomacy as much as possible until we get to that point. Now, once we get to that point of no return, then that's it. Now you've gotten me to the point to where there's no turning back. Diplomacy has already been, already been thrown to the side, and now we're at the point of where we're at. But we don't go. Most warriors don't go in looking for no trouble, looking for no fight. So I think that's where it's like the passive aggressive come into play. Because the will is there, but not necessarily the want. Like I don't want to have to take it there with anybody. But in the back of your mind, you always know, like, all right, I'm not gonna allow you to take advantage of me either. So I always tell my family, my sons too, and I'm like, look, I refuse for anybody in this family to be a victim. Like we not gonna be victims. So we not gonna allow bullying and all that other crazy matters. We not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Now we not looking for no trouble. I'm not walking around like, yo, whatever. But at the same time, I'm not gonna let you try to victimize me or my family. That's not,
I ain't gonna lie, with certain people though, I be wanting it so bad.
Well, I think with that comes, but you're a fighter, see what I'm saying? That's what you do. That's your profession, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
I think it's because I kind of always been like that. Cause I be sitting back peeping people, yo. There be some people out here who just, I don't know who they think they is, but I'm like, I watch you not do that with him, but now you going all in on him.
I mean, with you being a fighter, you pick. I mean, like as they say, the old adage, you gonna pick your battles. You see what I'm saying? So you gonna know, like, oh, all right, I see.
I don't know. I just called the heavyweight out.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that.
Like, that's what they said. I'm like, I'm telling you. I'm just. They like. I don't know, man. Like I said, I probably got some of that Baltimore lead up in me too.
Just don't spend all the money on the Bentley that the other dudes did.
Nah. I never go check. I just be saying it, man, because I'll be like, sometimes you ever sit back and be like, I think I'm a little crazy.
Yeah, without a doubt. I know I've accepted. That's another reason why I did this podcast, bro. I've accepted that in myself. You know what I'm saying? I know that already. You know what I mean? Like
Dave Chappelle said, crazy is the worst thing you could call somebody because it's dismissive. It means I just don't understand you. When I took psychology at Coppin State University, my teacher said never call somebody that because she said it does mean that. So in the midst of being crazy, are we just misunderstood?
Yeah, I mean, I would always say like, yeah, I know I'm a little touched. Like, back in the day, people like, man, you touched me, you a little something. It ain't, but I think,
ain't gonna lie. When I get around certain energies, I feel like, see, there's more people out here like me.
But see, that's what it is, man. Like, I'm an energy person, so I can feel that. You know what I mean? And I think with you, once we started, conversating and talking and all of that, like, you can feel people's energy. You know what I mean? And you and me, befriended a lot of the same people. You know where I'm going with that. We don't have to say the names. To where, we befriended a lot of the same people and then found out like, oh nah, I can't. Them dudes not on the same wavelength I thought they were. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, so
That's the energy in the universe, right?
that's the energy. You see what I'm saying? But you and me, like we stayed connected. Like, oh, he understand me and I understand him. And some of a lot of conversations we had, a lot of conversations you and me had, we ain't say no words. People would say stuff and you and me would just look at each other and have a whole conversation and just be like, and not say not one word. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like,
it'd be tripping low key.
yeah, for sure. For sure. You and me have had a lot of silent conversations.
And then come back like, man, you heard?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But that's like,
like I said,
huh?
you thought I was like, you thought I was wild, so I just be looking like I'm wild, but I don't agree with that.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what we really start breaking bread. When you were coming like, Haile Selassie. You kept calling me Haile Selassie. But the way you were saying it almost like the ball was off of Coming to America 1. It was like, who they can't take? I was like, yo, this. But when we would talk, you would see that I had a lot of knowledge. But I'm like, why you calling me Haile Selassie? Out of all the freedom fighters you could have called me, you called me Haile Selassie. I'm like, Haile Selassie?
That's what came to my mind, man. That's what you remind me of.
No, he was a good one though. He was a good one.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
He gained a lot of ground.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But I just would have called me somebody else. I was like, yo, say Haile Selassie.
Well, I will man, this is what I'm gonna say, bro. This was much needed conversation, man. And I greatly appreciate your honesty, and I greatly appreciate your vulnerability, because a lot of times,
thank you,
us as men, in particular men of color, we are not willing to be vulnerable with one another, especially just in conversations about mental health or family, or as you mentioned, man, sexual abuse or any of that type of stuff. Like, we kind of remain silent in those conversations, when many of us have unfortunately experienced some of those things or all of those things, and shouldn't remain silent, because our silence hinders people, but our willingness to talk about it can help people. So, that was one of the reasons, not one of the reasons, but yes, one of the reasons as to why I wanted to do this podcast, why I wanted to do this particular interview with you, because like I said, I know, I know you personally as a friend, but I know the energy and the wisdom and the information that you could bring to the table. Like I said, the vulnerability, because at the end of the day, that's when they be like, yo, homie's a real dude or whatever. I think that's the real part, when you can be vulnerable and allow people to see that. Just being vulnerable, bro, because it doesn't make you.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So, I appreciate, your honesty and your vulnerability in this, man. Is there anything that you would like to add to this before we end this interview? Any tidbits, any information, anything about yourself that you? Oh, give me your Instagram and all of that stuff so people can know and to follow you and everything.
A fake friend hacked my old Facebook and Instagram trying to do some scamming stuff.
Oh man.
Follow me on Facebook, I think at Dorian, I think it's just Dorian Bostic.
All right.
Follow me on my new Instagram page, which is called Dorian Educated Boxer Bostic. Just everything straight through.
Yeah.
And I got some gear coming out, some apparel, shall I say?
Yeah.
Marketing, promoting, and just support me.
Yeah. Always.
And just help me help myself as I help others.
Yeah. Bet. Yeah, always. You know, I'm always going to support, bro. I got much love for you, much respect, man. I appreciate you, bro. Like I said,
man.
me and you have conversations, you know, just about life, about family, about a bunch of different things. So this is a pleasure for us to be able to talk and
yeah, we knew each other for what, like, you gotta think when you met me, I probably was only like 22 years old.
Right. How old are you now?
30.
Yeah, I've been about almost 10 years, homie. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a slow grind.
Yeah. Like I say, one day, man, I'm gonna be with you when you got the belt, bro.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
And you one of the only people that say you see it happening.
Yeah, I see it. Then they really gonna be like, you know, he got a PhD too, right? Not only does he have the WBF belt, but he has a PhD. Yeah, so you know, was it WBO? Is it WBF? Did I say that right?
That's an organization. That's a regional organization. But there's a WB. There's 4 major titles. It's WBC, WBO, WBA, and IBF. And I think WBA is the oldest.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm saying 2 out of 5. No, you said 4, right?
4.
Yeah. I'm gonna say
2 out of 4.
So I'm gonna say 2 out of 4, bro. You gonna hold 2 out of 4. Now in my visualization, I don't know if it's gonna be at the same time, but you will be a 2-time world champ. I'm gonna speak it, bro.
And you know what's crazy? I think the IBF is the only one that's the only belt that's American based, and I think it's based out of New Jersey.
Well, there you go. See that connection right there? Come on, man. We're gonna speak that into existence, man. There it is, man. There it is, man. From my mouth, as they say, from my mouth to God's ears, and back to your boxing gloves, bro. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, if I could get the unified, be nice though. Like you said,
we'll get it together. I gotta get in there in that gym with you, man. I've been slacking, but you know, yeah. So
with the COVID and everything.
Huh?
I said we living in some different times with this COVID and everything.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. Without a doubt, you know, without a doubt.
Yeah, I went to my uncle's funeral. The whole funeral caught COVID.
For real.
Man, everybody. I talked to so many people that got COVID after the funeral was over.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, you know, with me reading and kind of doing research, they say it's gonna kind of almost end up being like the flu, like how everybody just gets it, you know what I mean, and then
you heal and go about your business.
Yeah, that's it. Like that's where it's starting to come.
Right.
Huh?
But if you ain't right, I guess what you're like die.
I mean, I think that has. I mean, you know, some people die from the flu too.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't, you know.
In college when the swine flu came out.
Right. See what I'm saying? So it's so many, you know, COVID-19 or variants of it have been around for quite a while.
What we on COVID-22 now, right?
I don't know, bro. We on COVID something. I know something out there floating around and cats is catching it. I'm trying to stay away from that joint. So, you know, I know a lot of people that have had it, bro. Like a lot of people, a couple of people in my family, a couple of friends.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, I talked to so many people that eat the floor. I'm like, yeah, the whole fruit. But I was was it a pallbearer? So I was in the cut. I was away from everybody. So for
Yeah,
everybody that was like in the crowd, well, a lot of them tested positive.
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's out there. So, we living in crazy times. COVID, mental health, all this stuff is, unfortunately, it's not like it's separate now. It's not like it's COVID over here and mental health over here. That's just is combined now. You know what I'm
So
saying? Like it's one. It's
with with
almost like one and the same.
with,
Because
with, with with COVID shutting the world down, it allowed for people to stay still for once because we live in such a fast society
sure,
where things like the Me Too movement and actors and actresses and just famous people just coming out about sexual abuse and things of that nature, myself included. Like everything that I've talked about, I have not been exempt from none.
right,
And just me, myself, right? There's been several other world champion top level boxers who have came out and talked about sexual abuse. Sugar Ray Leonard,
right,
Mike Tyson, Peter Quillen. And that's just the ones that I can remember offhand.
right,
All former world champions.
for sure.
So, and I think because of the times we living in, where I do feel like society has gotten people's feelings have gotten a little softer. But I think that if we're living in a time where famous people are starting to come out about these things, it's time for the regular people who make the world go, who are the working class citizens or the poor class. We need to talk about it because they're not being dressed. And like I said, it's just passing generational hurt.
Right. Yeah, you're definitely right about that one. Definitely right about that. Definitely right about that. Yeah, man. Yeah. We could probably have a 10-hour conversation about this right here, bro.
No,
Just
it's
another.
a
So,
good.
yeah. Like I said, man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the feedback, bro. I love you, man. You know what I'm saying? I thank you for coming on the show. Like I said, we've always had a good friendship. Um, and I just want to say I commend you for all that you've done. I'm proud of you, man, because that's a lot. It's a lot where you've come from to where you at. So, you know, it's to be commended. So,
Thank you.
Dorian Bostic, definitely. Dorian, will you tell him? Tell him your name, man.
It's Dorian, educated boxer Bostic.
There it is. There it is. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of the You Good podcast with Rob. This was a great episode with a friend, a confidant, Mr. Dorian, educated boxer. I said follow him on Instagram, follow and subscribe to Instagram at you_good_podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I thank you, brother. Thank you very much for this interview, for this time. And I said we'll be talking soon, and I'm sure this won't be the last interview. One of these interviews, I'm going to interview you as world champ, bro. One of them.
Appreciate
Yeah.
Appreciate
Word up. So hopefully that'll be sooner than later. But we one of these interviews is going to be world champion Dorian, educated boxer Bostic, world champ. So yeah, I'm gonna speak that into existence, brother. Yeah. Appreciate you, man. Have a good night, man. Thank you for your time. Many blessings to you and your family, man. And stay safe out here, bro.
All right, thank you.
No problem. All right, man. Have a good evening.
All right.
All right. You too. We're out.